Eagles.
All right, so welcome back to the Pineland Hockey Eagles postgame show live from Ocean Casino. Derek Gunn is not with us today, and our prayers go out to D. Gunn and his family. He's dealing with a family emergency. So, D. Gunn, you're missed. So our best wishes and our prayers go with you and the family, and, of course, everybody watching shares the same sentiment. But we have Mark Farzetta here, and we have Seth Joyner here. And joining us now on the set is Kayla Santiago for the Diamond Debate. Brought to us by Mark's Jewelers. Go to Mark's Jewelers, get the right engagement ring and the right diamond. Hello, Kayla. How are we today?
I'm great. It's a good win, not a great win. I'll say a win is a win at the end of that one. But make sure you all go to Mark's Jewelers, especially the holiday season is coming up. You want to be able to get everything there, especially those pearls. That's one of my personal favorites. One you're going to want to shop for this holiday season. But let's get into the Diamond Debate right now. We're going to first start off on the defensive side of the ball. Completely exposed here today on the Dallas offense. What do you think is the issue right now? Do you think it's the current scheme? Do you think it's the personnel? Seth, I know you're a defensive guy. I'm going to start with you.
To be honest with you, listen, they played a great game against the run. Dallas had 73 yards rushing. I just feel like they just need to be more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. They've got to figure out in the run game how they can stop the run in their four-man front without having to always go to the five-man front. The last two games, the Eagles' pass rush was dormant until the end of the game when they really needed it. Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat turned it up last week. BG turned it up tonight. They got to figure out a way. If they cannot get pressure with four in third down situations, then they're going to have to figure out, how to start dialing up some blitzes, to get pressure and get there. Because the longer that quarterback holds onto the ball, I can remember James Bradbury tonight, and for all the negative heat that he's taken, I'm watching, and Dak Prescott is standing in the pocket, he's patting the ball, and then he gets outside the pocket. And we're complaining about James Bradbury. I'm telling you right now, CeeDee Lamb had two alternate moves after his initial route. You can't cover that. There's not a cornerback anywhere that can cover that. So that means that you're not getting enough pressure up front to allow the effectiveness of the coverage to actually aid in you being able to get to the quarterback and forcing the issue with the quarterback. So, those are some areas that they're going to have to look at. If you can't ramp up your pass rush, then you're going to have to start dialing up some pressure.
And I think right now these guys, they seem a little bit banged up. We looked at Jordan Davis was holding his hamstring throughout that game. He comes back out. Hassan Reddick went down for a moment. Even Bradbury, Darius Slay, it did not look good. But now they go into the bye week. Why do you think this bye week is going to be so important for them, not only to get healthy, but what are the certain things you need to work on the defensive side of the ball? I know it's a lot.
Yeah, well, as far as the health point of it goes, obviously you got to get healthy during this bye week, and then you got to come out. And then they also have the extra day considering the Monday night matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. So when you look at it like that, yes, the injury factor plays into it, the health factor plays into it. Also, the coach is figuring out what player is put in each position and what is the best position to put that player in. For instance, Sidney Brown being asked to be the slot corner against CeeDee Lamb, that is just a crime against humanity when it comes to a play like that. That is awful. And Sidney Brown is going to be the guy, if he's in the slot, they're going to attempt to play physical on a guy like CeeDee Lamb. It was telegraphing what the strategy was every single time you line them up in that situation. So every time you saw it, Seth, that's where you saw the double moves. All right, you want to try to jam me at the line of scrimmage, which was few and far between. I'm going to make a double move. I'm going to be able to get around it. Or every time you see an offense try to run a play similar to a pick play, but they get away with it, they tried that twice in this game with CeeDee Lamb in the slot, and then you having a guy like Sidney Brown trying to be the guy to be able to make that stop. So it was telegraphed. The other part of it was Eli Ricks was just outmatched. And I was very impressed by the way he played against a guy like Tyreek Hill a couple of weeks ago. But in this game, he was far and away outmatched. I thought the Eagles got as close to cracking the code in this particular game against CeeDee Lamb when they had Darius Slay for a short period shadowing him and following him. I know that gives away other things, but I thought that was the best possible matchup they could have thrown in that direction. If they'd done that throughout the entire game, you're not looking at least a 190-yard game from CeeDee Lamb. You're probably still looking at about like 120, but maybe not 191 yards by him. So I think during the bye week, obviously get healthy. And then with whatever players you get back healthy after the bye, make sure you are doing the thing that every coach says is a cliche, putting them in the right position to make plays. They didn't do that tonight.
I think that what they have to do is they've got to figure out a way that when you have an elite level wide receiver and you're going to give Darius Slay that responsibility. See, the problem is there's certain coverages that you can run from that. Like if he's going to lock up on Slay on CeeDee Lamb one-on-one because he's in the slot or wherever he is, then that means that, that's an automatic tell for the quarterback. He knows that they're in man coverage. So the trick is, how do you have Darius Slay be able to travel with him wherever he is, but you have the ability to run all your other coverages with everybody else? So if you can't trust an Eli Ricks on the outside, or Darius Slay doesn't know what he's supposed to do in the slot in a zone concept, which I find that hard to believe, as long as he's been around, it's probably more about the rookies. So now you got an extra week. Now you can kind of implement that because you're going to face that with some of these other teams. You're going to face the Dallas Cowboys again. You're going to face a Deebo Samuel or a, Ayuk, where you may want to take one of these guys away. And if you have the ability to not only have Darius travel with their best player and not just show man coverage, but to be able to run everything else in the package from there, whether that's him blitzing off the edge and you running a zone concept behind it or whatever it is, because normally, every once in a while they will blitz Sidney Jones or they'll blitz, a slot guy. So that means that Darius has to know outside what he's supposed to do. He's got to know in the slot what he's supposed to do in every single situation, in every blitz, in every coverage, in every zone, everything that they run. And therein, kind of lies the problem.
And it's a good time to have a bye week right now. But, Mike, I'm going to go to you. The schedule doesn't get easier after that, so you hope Jalen Hurts included can get healthy. You got the Chiefs, the Bills, and the 49ers. What is more important to you right now? I know it's a full game, but getting that offense right, getting that line right in that run game, or fixing the defense that we saw today?
The most important thing to me is Jalen Hurts gets a week to heal up. I mean, really, there's no way I thought he was going to be 100% effective in the second half, and I really questioned whether they were going to send him out there to play on that. Now, as it turned out, he's a warrior and he survived it. But I look at this, and they're 8-1. Trying to play Eli Ricks, Sidney Brown, and Kevin Byard, who's been there for half an hour. Listen, they're up against them when they come out of a bye against Patrick Mahomes, obviously, and the Buffalo Bills are, who knows whether they're any good or not. The San Francisco 49ers have fallen off the map, and then it's at Dallas. So I looked at that schedule and I said, oh my God, that's going to be killer. I don't know about it anymore. Like Kansas City, you can go, okay, that's going to be a tough game for them to win, even though they come out of a bye. But, Buffalo, San Francisco, how worried can we be about this team being 8-1, surviving a game like today where they probably should have won it?
To your point on the whole idea of worry, do you think the Kansas City Chiefs looking at the Philadelphia Eagles at 8-1 going, that's a pretty good football team, we've got to be up for that one? Probably.
Yeah.
Still, Kansas City at home is going to be tough. Monday night, obviously. But I think the Bills are now more looking at the Eagles as that's going to be the tough team to beat. I think the San Francisco 49ers clearly now are looking at the Eagles as, yes, they are the team to beat. Already that was going to be a huge game. Yeah. The Cowboys being another team they're going to face down the line as well. The Seahawks being another team they're going to face down the line. The one thing we have to realize here, yes, we see all the blemishes with the Philadelphia Eagles, and rightfully so, because we're not measuring them simply against an 8-1 record. We're measuring them, Seth, to your point that you always make, against a Super Bowl caliber team. How will they fare in a Super Bowl when it matters most? Not just the fact that they're 8-1, that's great. We're all happy that they're 8-1. But when you start facing those teams like the Cowboys, like some other upper echelon teams supposedly, the Bills, for instance, the 49ers, the Cowboys again, the Chiefs, I believe those teams are looking at the Philadelphia Eagles the way we're looking at the rest of this schedule, which is you got to be on top of your game. You can't abandon the run. You can't have blown coverages, and you have to make sure that each game plan that is implemented for each game is going to be executed to perfection. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing going into the rest of this.
Do they ever shoot themselves in the foot?
They have, and then they recover and they come back.
But very rarely do they shoot. Like at the end of this game, they pretty much were trying to shoot themselves in the foot.
It was a very violent end of this game.
And everybody else in the NFL seems to shoot themselves. Dallas did it 4 times today. Well, I'm sitting here going, they're 8-1. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. Yeah, maybe they got away with it at the end because they made a couple boneheaded penalties that advanced the football. But, I go, how bad is it?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. Eagles, what do we say this about good team? Eagles find ways to win.
Yes.
Cowboys find ways to lose.
And so does everybody else in the NFL, apparently.
Not named the Philadelphia Eagles, you're right.
Everybody finds a way to lose in this
Mike,
league.
you know, it's amazing that you actually brought that up because we talked about it in the pregame. I said, as I look at the schedule, depending on how the Eagles fare today, I'm not that overly concerned about this gauntlet that we're
we were at first,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
then it's kind of dissipated.
Well, it's dissipated because you got to look at these other teams. Kansas City doesn't look as prolific as they did last year. You know, Buffalo is sitting at 5-3, and you know they're playing Cincinnati tonight, and you know there's no telling how that's going to turn out. You know, they could walk away from that game 5-4. You know, Seattle has kind of come back down to earth. They look average. And the 49ers, you know, they lost 3 in a row. Even they're on their bye, and they're probably going to come back full strength. But, you know, I think the formula for beating them is kind of out there too. If you can quell Christian McCaffrey in that run game, then you take away the play action pass that makes Brock Purdy the quarterback that he is. Because now when you stop the run, there's no play action. Where there's no play action, the timing and rhythm and the anticipated throws that he likes to throw, they turn into chance shots. So how many times he's gone 7-8 games without an interception, and then all of a sudden over the last 3 games he's got like 5 or 6, you know, because teams are understanding. Christian McCaffrey is what makes that offense go. Everybody wants to talk about Jalen Hurts being a system quarterback. No, Brock Purdy is the system quarterback, because if he doesn't have that running game where he can go play action, that offense looks very pedestrian and very average. Now, they got some players, don't get me wrong, but the quarterback isn't, you know, the guy that everyone thought he was going to be after his precipitous start.
So the diamond debate, there's a debate within a debate here.
Right, always.
And the debate within a debate is, do we worry too much about them being perfect?
No.
Right?
Well, no, because
we're measuring them up. But you're right. We're measuring up against a Super Bowl standard.
Yes.
There ain't one.
Yeah, which is great. And there's not one person here that's pissed off that they're 8-1. Okay, we're maybe pissed off they lost to the Jets. But I'll say this about the gauntlet and as far as measuring the standard and all that. I think the Eagles are the gauntlet. I'll put it to you like that. I think the Eagles are the gauntlet. The Eagles, for all these measuring stick games and whether or not the Eagles are an upper echelon team, the Miami Dolphins went out there and wanted to prove that they're an upper echelon team. Tough. They lost to the Bills. And you know what they did? They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys had a huge opportunity. I'll use this phrase again. A red carpet of opportunity rolled out in front of them in this game, and they had multiple opportunities to win that game. Eagles take the bye. The Cowboys go and face the New York Giants and then the Carolina Panthers. Red carpet of opportunity to make up some major ground on the Eagles, and they again choked it away. So I'll say this. The measuring stick, forget about it. The measuring stick is how teams measure up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And for the Eagles, the measuring stick is the standard that they always talk about. And that standard is competing in a Super Bowl, deep playoff run, and all that. So I'll say this. The Eagles are the gauntlet, and to steal a line from one of my favorite TV characters ever, Walter White, the Eagles are the danger.
Great show.
Eagles are the one who knocks.
I don't disagree with you, but I think right now you look at this Eagles team and you say, okay, the passing game is there. Jalen Hurts is running the ball. You look at A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith getting way more involved today, but this run game still is not getting going. Do you think for opposing defensive coordinators, they look at this offense and say, they got weapons, but it might be a little bit one-dimensional, or do you think that the Eagles at some point can get that run game going and then defensive coordinators have more to worry about?
Listen, they've got the best offensive line in the National Football League, and when they put their mind to it, you saw in week 3 and week 4, you know, they were running the ball with such efficiency that Lane Johnson, if you gave him a towel, he was out there he's like, run it again. So it's pretty evident what the offensive line really wants to do, but the staff doesn't see this offense as a run-centric offense in any way, shape, fashion, or form. What they see themselves as is a passing offense with the ability to run the ball, you know, as a byproduct of their offense. And that's the way they've been operating. And to your point, Mark, I'll say this before we go to a break. I think that we, as the media and we, as the fans, we have a expectation for this football team. So all season long, we've been waiting for this team to play the perfect game, for the run game and the passing game all to click at the same time, and for the defense, to dominate against the run and get pressure in the passing game, and for it all to click at the same time. The game is too imperfect, and you can look at the rest of the NFL to bear that out and to prove it out, that no matter, how good the Eagles are playing or how bad they're playing, other teams out there that are have Super Bowl aspirations, I'm talking about legitimate ones, not like the Cardinals who have no shot, who started off at the beginning of the year and said, yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, okay, yeah, right. Okay, I'm talking about the ones that legitimately have a shot, okay? They play imperfect football week after week after week. And you want to know the two teams in the AFC that really scares me, and Kansas City ain't one of them. The two teams that really scare me is Baltimore and Cincinnati, because they seem to be hitting their stride right now. Now, the Eagles still have time to peak. You can't tell them that they've peaked. This perfection that we're looking for, we want them to peak now. I don't want them to peak now. I just want to continue to analyze why they're not peaking. I want them peaking by the time they get to week 15, week 16, week 17, because that's when they need to be at their best when they enter the playoffs. These teams that are peaked now, maybe San Francisco's already peaked. Maybe they've already peaked. I want the Eagles to peak late in the season.
I haven't even given the AFC any thought at all. Conquered the NFC, they were good.
I'm not worried about that. Just goes to show I'm not really worried about the
NFC. Yeah.
No, you're right. I'm going, the dominance is in the NFC for this team. Maybe the AFC has a couple teams that could challenge them. I don't even want to think about that. But it's time for a break, because on the other side we'll have our 2-minute drill, and also John McMullen and his thoughts on today's 28-23 win over the choking Dallas Cowboys. This is the Pond Hockey Eagles post-game show. We're back after this.
Hey Philly, it's Tom Giordano from Pond Lee Hockey. Follow us on Instagram for your chance to win free Eagles tickets all season long. That's right, I'm talking regular season, playoffs, and even the Super Bowl. So follow us on Instagram.